My name is David Sanderson and I'm Judith Neilson Chair in Architecture at the University of New South Wales in Sydney in Australia. And I would like to talk briefly about failure. And that sounds like a very odd thing to talk about, the idea of failure, but in humanitarian action and innovation, failure is part of the story. And the challenge is to fail fast, as they say in the innovation space, and then to learn from those failures. But not fail through bad management or incompetence, but fail through testing and trying an idea or an answer to a challenge or a problem, and then ideally succeeding, obviously, but almost all the time failing first in order to get better at the next time. So good failure, if you like. There are lots and lots of reasons for failure, obviously. 4 or 5 that often come across in humanitarian action are as follows. One of the key ones actually in humanitarianism is the drive to be the saviour. People after a disaster or in an emergency need external help, and that's right and that's a good thing. But then the idea of this is what they want, that I come and I provide an answer, and often we see problems in innovation and failures in the shelter sector, where we might have an approach which just does not resonate or does not fit people's real needs. A second one closely linked to that is actually not listening to people. Failure happens when we don't consult and we don't listen. And you often hear that, well, there's no time to listen or consult. And that's not true. I mean, there's immediate life-saving, pulling people out of the rubble, but then all the evidence points to the need for good assessments and good engagement. And so innovation, when it doesn't fail, actually takes time to listen and engage with people and understand. And that brings me to another point as well, that innovations don't have to be big, game-changing ideas. They can be those things. They can be the disruptors, we call it, the disruptive innovations. But an awful lot of, and often those fail. And again, that may not be a bad thing. But some of the incremental innovations, the small changes, the small improvements, those things I suppose have less scope to fail. And that's part of the story too, those incremental changes. Another challenge to failure comes to addressing the wrong problem. That happens too often. A failure to do assessments, as I mentioned, leads us to often think this is the challenge, but this is often not the challenge. And some years ago, one initiative involved an assessment of people living in an illegal settlement in a very dense urban area, and that area flooded regularly. And in assessments, what people said was, we know it floods, we can live with that. Our main number one priority actually is education. And in order to get education for our children, they need to cross a busy road. So what we actually need are traffic lights in order to cross the road for our kids to get education. So the starting point here was flooding. The actual real need perceived by people, and that's the key point of being perceived by people, was actually a better crossing to get over the road for the school. You never would have known that without spending time listening and engaging. And then a final one, I suppose, is diffusion and scaling up. Innovation itself is not only the moment of identifying the opportunity, if you like, but if you don't move it on, if you don't make it larger so other people can hear and understand, your thing is lost. And the need is enough that we need to understand what diffusion is and scaling up to reach as wide an audience as we possibly can.